This is a lesson on multiplying a whole number by a fraction using the standard algorithm. So the first thing you're going to do is take some notes on the steps of multiplying whole numbers by fractions using the standard algorithm. So please pause and get a piece of binder paper and then unpause and continue. Okay, hopefully you have a piece of binder paper right now, and I'm going to go through this and then you can pause it whenever you want and write down the steps. So, steps for multiplying either mixed numbers or just fractions or whole numbers and fractions. So we'll do all the notes will cover all of that. So, first thing you need to do is turn all mixed numbers and whole numbers into fractions. So for example, today, if you have 3 times 4/5, you need to turn that 3 into a fraction. And so you would write 3/1 times 4/5. And you can write down this example as well next to your notes. At any time that you want to stop and pause to write the notes, please do so, but make sure that by the end of this slide, you have all the notes. The next step is to multiply the numerator by the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. So we'll come back up to this. We'll go 3 times 4 is 12. 1 times 5 is 5. So you do not have to find common denominators when you multiply. You have to just multiply across. Your final step is simplify. We have an improper fraction. So you divide. 12 divided by 5. Well, 5 goes into 12 twice. Denominator stays the same. We have a remainder of 2. So your answer would be 2 2/5 for this example. So make sure if you haven't finished all these notes, you pause and take the notes now. Okay, let's do some practice ones. So step 1 was turn everything into a fraction. Our 7/8 is always already a fraction, but our 4 isn't. So we'll put 4/1 times 7/8. And for these, you're just going to watch me do them. When they're in red, you just watch me, and then you'll have a chance to pause and do some on your own. Next, numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. 4 times 7 is 28. 1 times 8 is 8. And now we need to simplify because this is an improper fraction. 8 goes in 28 divided by 8. So if you need to do it this way, you can. Some of you can do it without doing this, but either way, do what works for you. Goes in 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24. This is our remainder because there's nothing else to bring down. So we go 4/8. So this becomes 3 4/8, but I still need to simplify. So we get 3 1/2 for our final answer. Definitely make sure that you simplify. You continue simplifying until you're done. Let me model another one. First step is to turn everything into a fraction. 5/9 is already a fraction, but 12 isn't, so I stick it over 1. Any number over 1 is that number. So now I'm going to multiply, and I'm going to just multiply straight across, and 15 times 12 is 60, and then 9 times 1 is 9, and then I need to divide, and so 9 times 6 is 54, and then we have 6 for our remainder, so we go 6/9. The denominator stays the same. We can divide 2/3, so we end up with 6 2/3. So simplifying the first part of it is easier than adding and subtracting because you don't have to find a common denominator, but you're going to have to do a lot more simplifying. So the work comes more in the simplifying part. So really put your effort into that part of it. Okay, a word problem. Christina brought in 4 loaves of sliced bread to make sandwiches for the class picnic. Her classmates used 2/3 of the bread. How many loaves of bread were used? The reason I underlined of is often when we're doing these type of problems when you want to find 2/3 of a number, for example, 2/3 of 4, That is multiplication. The of is multiplication. So 2/3 of 4 is what we're trying to find out. So we would go 2/3 of 4. And so step 1 is to turn the 4 into a fraction. Step 2 is to multiply numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. And then step 3 is to simplify. 8 divided by 3, 3 goes into 8 twice. That makes 6. 3 times 2 is 6. We have 2 left over. So 2 2/3. How many loaves of bread were used? 2 2/3 loaves were used. You can also see that in a drawing. If we drew the 4 loaves, and then we did 2/3, and we colored in 2/3 of each, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 thirds. So you can see that in the drawing, but I want you to really work on it with the standard algorithm. Okay, so you're going to try some on your own. If you need to go back and watch examples, you can. Please use your notes. So at this point, I want you to pause and do this either in your notes so you have examples or on your whiteboard. Go ahead and pause. When you're done, unpause it for the answer. Okay, hopefully you have your answer. Check to see if you simplified it. If you did not simplify your answer, if it is improper, or you can still simplify it, pause it now and simplify your answer. Okay, hopefully you checked that. Step 1 is turn all whole numbers or mixed numbers into fractions. Well, we don't have any mixed numbers, but we have a whole number, so we put it over 1. The 2/5 stays the same. We multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, and that's improper. 6 divided by 5, so 5 goes into 6 once. Our remainder is 1. We'd have 1 left over. Denominator stays the same, and we're done. If you did not get that right, please check and see where you went wrong. Okay, go ahead and pause and complete this one. Unpause it when you're ready. Okay, hopefully you simplified. If you didn't simplify, pause now and simplify. Step 1, turn all whole numbers into fractions. So we'll put that over 1. Multiply across, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Simplify, 10 divided by 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9, remainder of 1, so it becomes 3 1/3. Okay, try this one. Go ahead and pause it and do it on your whiteboard and then check your work. 6 over 1 times 2/3, multiply across, and now simplify. 12 divided by 3 is 4, no remainder, so the answer is just 4. All right, go ahead and pause and complete this one. Okay, hopefully you've simplified. 5 sevenths. Put the 4 over 1 to turn it into a fraction. Multiply across. Divide to simplify. Goes in twice, that's 14. 6, remainder 6. This becomes our whole number. The remainder becomes our numerator. Denominator stays the same, 2 6/7. Okay, so you're going to pause this, read the word problem, and then solve it, and then unpause it. Okay, Charles has 5 1-pound bags of sand, so he has 5 bags of sand, each a different color. For an art project, he will use 3/8 of each bag. How much sand will he use? So 3/8 times 5. And so then we're going to put the 5 over the 1, multiply across. 8 goes into 15 once. If we subtract that, we get 7. So we get 1 7/8 pounds of sand for that one. Okay, hopefully you were successful on those. If you need to watch any more examples, go back and watch them again. Use your notes. Make sure your notes are packed up for your homework tonight. And if you get home and you forget what to do, rewatch this video at home. So now on the side counter, you'll find a half sheet. That's the final check. It'll be titled Final Check for Understanding. You need to do that at a 0 on your own, and then you're going to check with the teacher. If she marks both of them correct, then you can get the full sheet on the counter, which is the student practice problems. If she marks one of them wrong, go back, use your notes, and figure out where you went wrong. Remember to simplify. I think that's going to be, if you go wrong, I think that may be the place where you go wrong today. But hopefully not. So make sure you check that. And make sure when you are working on your student practice problems that you're a 0 or a whisper 1, only if you need help. Remember what our behavior needs to be during math time. And you can now turn the video off and close your computer and get your final check for understanding.